Hello everyone, this is our new video, and recently in Romania there was a Grand Chess Tour event where a lot of top grandmasters played, participated, but except of Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura, they didn't participate. In general, tournament wasn't, I don't know, very fighting. There were a lot of draws, but in this video we'll try to figure out what top 5 mistakes were made in this tournament, who made them, and wait until the end of the video because you will see the bonus, some game of Caruana Fabiano who won the tournament from the tiebreak. And let's begin with the top number 5 game where Alireza Firouzja played against Nodirbek Abdusattorov. In this game, b5 was played in the game. Can you explain, Vladimir, what is wrong really with this move? Why Nodirbek played it? What move would you rather choose? And kind of automatically looks reasonable after knight d2 move.
Yeah, ciao. I can explain. I can explain this because now the e4 pawn is hanging, right? So the most natural probably will be playing just something like a 5 in order to defend the pawn. But move b5 looks not that good at all. Just because I don't see this, but I can't explain the reason of this move. Because first of all, main mistake that it weakens the c5 square, right? The knight that now is doing absolutely nothing. It's just in prison. It doesn't have any single move except of going back. Now it can go to c3 and trying to hold d5, but the best move obviously is knight to c5 because you just have double attack, knight has good square, and let's imagine that black captures the knight, so black already doesn't have bishop pair, and white will have the pass pawn. Let's say bishop takes c5, bc, and we have just better bishop, we have better pawn structure, we'll somewhere break maybe with a4. We have also, depends what black does, some ideas with knight c4 to d6,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, I don't know what I mean. Clearly, Nodirbek plays better than both of us, but I mean, it's very hard to explain why really b5 was played because f5 seems very reasonable defending it. If d5 doesn't seem to be a big of a problem, we have a bishop pair. We don't mind opening up the position. And after b5, there is such a huge hole. Probably dynamics can some. I mean, probably Abdusattorov thought about some dynamics, but I don't really see why. Is it an improvement because there are plenty of holes that we can use, and after any pawn capture position seems to be just strategically better, so it seemed like positional error. In the game, by the way, instead knight c3 was played, and then some mess began, but it didn't end up very well for black. Okay,
Mhm.
so right now we go into the top number 4. And Vladimir, can you tell us about this game? Who's playing? What's this drill about?
Okay, the same famous guy, Alireza Firouzja, playing white pieces this time versus the winner of the tournament, Fabiano Caruana. And what's going on here? We can spot that Fabiano played this move rook to b8. So when somebody slides rook one square away and doesn't even put it to open file yet, probably we need to think what is the reason of this move. And sometimes it can be, let's say, white has a fianchetto in g2 or something like that, that it can be some prophylactic kind of move. But as you see, there's nothing similar to
Yeah,
this.
there is no
So I
bishop
mean,
here.
rook b8. Why will someone do it? Probably knight a8 is not a plan as well, because knight is perfectly staying on c7, right?
Well, I
So
mean, it,
maybe
it,
it
it would be
might,
a good plan, by the way. Knight e8, queen c7
uh,
to punish the knight for all his
yeah,
bad
to
things.
end up with his life completely, right? So
Yeah.
probably we might think that move b5 is going to happen, but a logical thing is to play 4 here, just the typical thing that we always know that stop counterplay first and then start your business on the other
Yeah,
side of the board.
exactly. Because we can clearly
That's
see
it.
that White is attacking on the king side, and I don't know why Caruana chose this opening because he really struggled after it. It's not typical of him to choose some kind of adventurous openings like King's Indian setups. And instead of attacking, we see that our opponent is about to create a counterplay. So always think what your opponent wants to do, and therefore prevents it. Yeah, you might object, there is a hole, but can you explain, Vladimir, why it's not really that viable and why? I mean, Firouzja shouldn't have been afraid of it.
Okay, so knight a6, knight b4, knight can jump there, but let's take a look. Let's say knight a6. White even can play another prophylactic move if he wants it that much, like to keep the bishop. Maybe he can bring rook to d1, that for whatever, right? Knight b4, bishop b1. Like it's not completely harmless. You can even give up this bishop if you want. It's
Yeah.
not doing anything. Little knight on b4 is not bothering someone at
I
all.
don't
It
know.
doesn't.
I would even
Not
consider
really.
castling long as long as
Yeah,
we
because
keep the
things will be
position
safe.
close. And plus,
Yeah.
this bishop, I do not agree that it doesn't do anything at all because very often black wants to play a5, no matter
Ah, yeah,
what.
that's true.
In
That's
in
true.
in the childhood, I played King's Indian, and no matter how harsh attack was, I anyway played a5. And yeah, right here it will not end up good with the bishop and with this X-ray standing right here. Instead, Alireza decided to go g5 in this position, and after hg, bishop g5, who could have thought that b5 will come? And then it messed up the position, and finally Fabiano proved why he won this tournament. This gave him a very good boost in the beginning of the tournament, which helped him to win the event in general. Okay, top number 3.
Three.
And this is the game of MVL against again Alireza Firouzja. We didn't do it on purpose, like really. And right here, like, what can you tell about this position, Vladimir?
I can say about this that if I have one pass pawn, it's better than if I have zero, right?
Yeah,
So white has this f3 pass pawn that is probably the chance to win the game, except of activity of the pieces, right? But okay, first of all, we need always to try to calculate some force moves. That's what Maxime tried to do, and he captures the pawn on b5 here. But then he probably forgot that opponent also can do the same and calculate another force move and touch his rook with move c4.
I don't
And
know.
now
Yeah,
we see the problem, right?
yeah.
We see
Because
that rook.
I again, I don't think that he really missed it. I just think that he misevaluated it. Because yeah, C4
And
looks very logical, and it's hard
yeah,
to
I
miss it.
agree.
And I don't
But the
think that,
point is,
yeah, he thought that
like,
there is.
why, if you see this move c4, let's just show 3, 4, 5 moves what happened next, right? Fast. I
Yeah,
mean, why
pawn
will
lost.
you voluntarily go to this
Yeah.
kind of position for
Rook
what?
c3 also there is like cb, pawn is reinforced. So yeah, I don't know. What was clearly better to do is to play just king g4 because our pawn is hanging, we need to defend it. Better not to play a4 to save it because then you will lose the rook and everybody loves doing it. I know the guys you watching, you at least once in your life did that. But I mean, king g4 clearly attacks the rook. cb doesn't work, by the way. You can stop the video and try to answer why, but I will show. Okay, Vladimir, why BC doesn't work?
Because another force move, the intermediate, check on b8 first,
Yeah,
and then rook on
exactly. Rook
h3 gets
b8
captured.
and rook's falling. And after rook h1, we already have an alive pawn. We already can consider capture. We can just probably defend it, which would be the easiest way. And then boom, 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 pawn is running up. I don't know why Maxime messed up. I mean, he had 28 minutes at this point. Alireza had the whole hour. But b5 was a very nice move, by the way, because when you in strategical trouble, materially worse, try to look for the counterplay, and that's what Alireza did. Okay, and
Okay?
game number 2. And actually, right here, somewhere on the top of your screen, you will see a reference to this game because there is one video that I recorded about this particular game where Gukesh and Praggnanadhaa played. I made a full analysis about this video, so if you're interested, please click and figure out all the details, all the different move orders and analysis. So, Vladimir, what can you say about this position? What would, I mean, what are threats? What's better to do? What happened in the game?
Okay, so in games, remember Queen went to 3, right? And okay, it led to some. Yeah, I mean, the idea is obvious that Queen wants to hold h1 and mate in 1, right? But probably you have some other move just to stop this and to not trade queens here in this position,
Yeah,
just
so
because
let's say King
yeah,
G1 can be a
one.
very good move because, I mean, as it was explained in the video, let's say after King G1 we down a pawn, and we actually don't mind probably trading rooks, and we don't mind trading queens, but not all of them because it will be pawn in game, and it's pretty well known that if you go to the pawn in game with the pawn down, don't really wait for something good happen to you because very often I mean, it doesn't. Alireza Firouzja is a master of pawn and games, which you can actually see in this video. So there will be like spam of these videos. And yeah, better was just to play King G1, try to keep still. I understand that time trouble was there, but instead in the game Queen f3 happened.
Because yeah, the problem is that it allowed rook f5 and then to the line, right? That
Yeah,
queen takes, rook takes, and then
Vladimir,
rook f5.
would you play some responsible move like Queen f3 in the time trouble with 49 seconds on the clock?
Probably he saw that maybe he'll be mated, but I mean, obviously Gukesh tried to think that this is a drawish and game with the pawns. but he was not right. But for someone who will become world champion soon, I expect something else, right?
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
the thing we expect on this
I,
board.
I don't know. I'm not sure, like, because usually in the time trouble, I'm just trying to avoid with any cost such like lines where I'm not sure, but which can cross all hopes for the end game, particularly when King Juan is the safer option, and of course should prevail. Okay, and top number one right here. And this is probably not obvious candidates. Maybe not all of you even saw this game or expected it to see because it looked pretty standard as 100 other draws in this tournament. This is a game of So against Praggnanadhaa. What can you tell us about this position, Vladimir? Okay, after check right here, King G7 was played, which is
Mhm.
logical. What is happening on the board? What what to do?
So, okay, white is positionally better because of the 5 pawn hanging and all these things, but the problem is that their king is weak and definitely rook b3 is very active, so black probably need to find some counterplay in order to just not end up losing the pawn and the game with this. So, how we fight the counterplay, right? We can activate our pieces. It's typical thing. Rook is very active, so we need to make better the knight or the queen. And now I see that knight cannot move anywhere except of c7, f8, or d8. That's not improving his position. So it means that queen needs to join the party, and where we need to bring it, right? And one move we cannot create direct counterplay. Maybe queen h3, but rook take g3 is not something that will scare white player because it's not having any other threat, and pieces are literally going too far. But queen a7 is much smarter because then you can bring queen, okay, whatever, to h3 or sometimes maybe to
Yeah,
f2.
Queen A7. Yeah, but I should mention that White hasn't played their move yet, so like,
It
let
doesn't
it.
scare me anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, the main problem is that right now the pawn is hanging, and it's very tempting to take it. But of course, better was to play somehow safer, maybe bring the queen back and then try to eat the pawn. Instead, Wesley played the most obvious move, rook d5, trying to grab a pawn. But as Vladimir was explaining, the problem is that all of our pieces kind of left the king, and if we play queen a3, attack the pawn, nothing scary will happen. But what both of the opponents blundered with having 5 minutes on the clock, which is plenty of time for such strong GMs, is queen a7. And after queen a7, here we are. You might ask, and where are we? Like, what are you talking about? But the problem is that queen e3 is unstoppable, and then the whole position falling apart. Because let's say if we play some rook d7, we get mated pretty quickly somewhere, unless there is some counterplay, but I doubt it. I guess we get rid of some checks.
Yeah,
And king h6 will also maybe have. So yeah, and if queen c2, for example, going back, there is a very powerful queen e3 move. And if let's say try to play g4 to save the pawn, there are plenty of checks. Knight is ready to participate, different checks, different attacks, and the game would be over pretty soon. Instead, Prague played right here queen b4, which looks reasonable. He spent like almost a minute, and then after queen c1. Black had an activity, Black found a cute tactic, but it all ended up being in approximately equal symmetrical position and ended up with a perpetual. And this one, I mean, why do we think that this is the first place? Because compared to others, it's not first. I mean, it's the most obvious decision because after rook d5, it's clear that Black needs to create counterplay, and this is not a move of like Magnus Carlsen level. Even we kind of can carry it and figure it out. Uh,
Mhm.
so yeah, and as we promised, for those who end until the end of the video, we have a bonus game. We're gonna show why Caruana managed to win. If you don't know, Caruana kinda decided to spice things up. In the last game, he played against Giri, and this game didn't get to the top, even though there were some premises. And he lost in the last round. He played like pretty aggressively for his, I mean, situation in the tournament. And there was a time break where four players played. It was Fabiano Caruana, Alireza Firouzja, as I remember, Prague played here, and Gukesh. And this is one of the games. By the way, Caruana won 3 games in time breaks, 3 out of 3, perfect result. And his main rival there was Alireza Firouzja.
Again.
Yeah, again, because they both scored, I mean, they both won Indian youngsters, but this game was kind of critical, and this is the position. Seems like pretty symmetrical according to the pawn structure. Probably white has some advantage because of better placed pieces. What can you
Yeah,
say about this
definitely slight edge
position?
because white has more active pieces. Somewhere we can bring queen maybe later to the queen side. There are some kind of tricks with bishop on d5 being hanging. Also, bishop on a5 is not the greatest piece at the moment. Obviously, black, I mean, can reposition it in future, but it all takes time, and in such open positions, not always black can have all this time for him. And in general, it's not that easy to find move for black, but at least one move is definitely helpful here. Which move is this, Vladislav?
I think, I mean, f5 makes a lot of sense because this bishop on g2 is fianchetto, he's pressuring us a lot, and by trading pieces, our situation will definitely get better. Of course, we have some waiting moves like bishop b6 trying to trade the centralized bishop as well, but f5 would kick knight away from a good position, and I guess we'll be fine.
Mhm.
Instead, knight c6 happened, which seems like, okay, we're attacking the bishop, there is no big deal. But there is a big deal, and Caruana next move with his like super tactical vision proved it. What happened and what's the problem with knight c6?
Okay, so looks like White has to move the bishop because losing bishop pair in open position is not something that we would like to see. Maybe bishop b2 will be fine, but the better move is bishop to f6. This is brilliant tactical shot. Suddenly, all black position is hanging here. Yeah, I mean, the threat is very beautiful. I mean, that if g takes f6, there is queen takes d5 and knight f6.
And under queen
And
d5, there
then,
is a fork onto these
yeah.
pieces, and this is it. We're like up a pawn. Our bishop is the beast. Our knight is the beast. Position is
Mhm.
absolutely winning. And in general, it completely ruins the structure. The king is open. He's kind of alone, and this is it. Bishop f6. And in general,
Yeah, I
when
mean,
you,
if
yeah,
black tries to play, let's say, queen d7 without entering there, but still we have queen knight c5. That's what I wanted to show. Let's say if
yeah,
black doesn't capture on f6, yeah, queen d7 after bishop f6, and we have knight c5 at least. And
yeah, knight c5, and then we win the bishop with this double
yeah,
attack. And yeah, it's like when you see such fianchetto bishop and there is some discovery, always pay a lot of attention because your opponent might have some discovered check, discovered attack, and that's what happened. And this is a brilliant move. It's very unexpected of Fabiano winning tie breaks, knowing his hard history against, let's say, Magnus match and so on and so on.
yeah,
So
and try to calculate all the force moves, please.
Yeah, that's also true, especially the ones relating to your opponent. Okay, so how do you think? What was the best game of the tournament? What were the most crucial mistakes? Please like and subscribe this video. We put a lot of effort in it. We'll try to record more and more videos to entertain you and teach you something new. And see you next episode. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Ciao.